Hello, Kindred Spirits, and welcome back to Bits and Bob's Divination. My name is Caitlin, and today we are going to be looking into your month of March for the biggest energies and blessings coming forward, as well as for Pisces season. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Alright, so welcome back, my beautiful Kindred Spirits, and anyone new who may be joining us on the channel here today. We are going to be diving into, like I said, the month of March, as well as looking into, and can you guys even believe that it's the month of March? Like, that's completely throwing my mind for a loop as we are heading towards the month of March, but also we're going to be looking into Pisces season. So happy birthday to anyone who is Pisces out there, and even if you're not, this is still going to apply to you as it's an overarching seasonal energy that we're going to be moving through. So we'll be really exploring that with each of the readings, and each of them felt very distinctly different, so feel free to really take your time looking at the piles. But before we look at them, I just want to let you know that the snail mail readings that I usually do are back and open, so if you're interested in getting your own snail mail reading, those are open for you. And also, if you're interested in the other more custom things that I do, such as custom charm mats, as well as custom magical rubber stamps that you can use in your business or you can use for your own art magic, are open and available to you. I feel like I don't talk about that enough, but if you guys are interested in those, I would love to be able to make those for you, because I really do enjoy spreading out my magical endeavors and passions to all of you and to be able to offer more to you. So if you're looking to get your own magical stamps for your art magic, or if you're interested in getting a custom charm casting mat for your own charm casting and to build your own set, then feel free to check out the videos I have here that you can learn more about those things, and also for more information on how to reach out for your own custom stamp. So do feel free to reach out if that's something you're interested in, because I really would love to create those and create for you all. But we're going to go ahead and look at these piles. So we have 3 different piles here for you, with each of them having these speckled stones. Here for pile number 1, if you're feeling called to this specific stone, which is Snowflake Obsidian, although we have 2 Snowflake Obsidians here, so if you're feeling called to the light version of the Snowflake Obsidian, then pile number 1 may be for you. Here for pile number 2, if you're feeling called to the darker version of the Snowflake Obsidian, then that is pile number 2. So if you're feeling called to this one, check out pile number 2. And last but not least, here for pile number 3 is this, I believe, spotted Jasper, but I don't quote me on that, but that's what we're going to call it today. So if you're feeling called to this one, then that is pile number 3. So as always, before we head off to the timestamps and really start heading off to the piles, I like to invite you to take a deep and cleansing breath here with me, so you can really connect with your guides, as well as to connect with your own intuition and the piles themselves. So let's go ahead and take that deep breath together here now. And there are no rules to this. You can choose all 3 of the piles if you really would like to, or you can choose one and flip-flop and change your mind and take little bits from each of them. There really are no rules here. All the timestamps will be down below in the description alongside the chapter marks of this video. And as I mentioned earlier, if you want to look deeper into the custom stamps and charm casting mats that I create, as well as the snail mail readings, magical spell and ritual paper sets that I have, and others, then feel free to check out all the information down below. So we're going to go ahead and get started here with pile number 1. Hello group 1, if you decide to choose the lighter version of Snowflake Obsidian, then this is the pile for you, as we are going to be exploring your month of March, seeing what big messages are coming forward, as well as looking into the month as a whole for the blessings that are on their way in, or the energies most in your favor. And we're also going to be playing around with looking into some more creative messages specifically for Pisces season. So even if you're not a Pisces, this is still going to apply, but we're going to be using the charms as well as several different oracle decks, and the main tarot deck today being the Line Strider Tarot, which I haven't pulled out in months. So I'm kind of reacquainting myself to this deck, so I'm kind of interested to see specifically the imagery that's coming forward for you guys and the feeling that I'm getting from the card. But I feel like it's a really watery deck, so it felt like Pisces season made a lot of sense. So we're going to go ahead and get started, but do feel free to get yourself cozy and settled. If you're curious about everything else that I haven't mentioned here, it'll all be listed in the description down below. And yeah, feel free to get yourself cozy and settled, because we are going to get started first by pulling 3 different cards to look into those main energies, the biggest themes coming forward for you for the month of March. So definitely feel free to connect with the cards as they're already connecting with you. And we will see, group 1, collectively, what are the biggest energies coming forward most for the month of March. Okay. So, to reveal these, the first one that came out was the 10 of Cups. I love that card. You also have the Moon. I'll hold it up for you. And then you also have the King of Wands. Ooh, we've got a little bit of sort of a fire meets water energy with the cup and the wands. And then also the moon in general has a lot to do with the more watery energy of the cups, as it is a very intuitive card, and it's a card that usually speaks a lot to illusions. So what I think is interesting, I feel like these two are very much connected, the 10 of Cups and the moon. And what I find interesting about this is it almost feels like this is like your ambition for what it is that you are sort of dreaming or working towards, because the 10 of Cups usually speaks to our ideals. It's like the things that we truly want, the things that we're looking for, the things that will make us feel most fulfilled and make us feel most like successful in life. I feel like the best word really honestly is fulfillment, though, like where you feel emotionally fulfilled and successful, and like things are just like the absolute, like if you could imagine the perfect day, even if everything didn't go perfect, like right, it could have rained and you could have had some really difficult things, but it still turned out to be like the perfect day. That's how I feel the 10 of Cups is. It doesn't necessarily mean everything's perfect, as you do see this little rainbow here, right? There was rain, there was something that was still not perfect, but it does usually speak to the things that we are most wanting, the things that we most are ambitious and working towards, our dreams, our goals, our things that are going to give us ultimate fulfillment. And so if I'm looking at this, and then that is right next to illusions, and this intuitive energy of the moon, but I'm specifically getting the illusion side of it, as this dog sees themselves as a wolf in the light of the moon. What I'm seeing here is that you currently have this King of Wands showcasing this huge ambition, because the King of Wands is ambitious. They have a fiery energy going out for them. They are seeking out what they are after, and they are making it happen. They are just like fired up to get stuff done. So if I'm looking at this from your perspective, what I'm seeing here is that there's something that you're super fired up for that you really need and will kind of create a bit more fulfillment in your life that's going to help you in some way. So this ambition and this fire that you have is really coming from a real want, a real need, a real desire for something. But it's really important for you to make sure that those desires are placed in the right hands or in the right places, right? Because we can desire something so much that we like put all of our force, all of our energy, all of our time, all of our focus, as you can see, this line is like laser focused into something to the point that we don't see the bigger picture. And there might be something happening in the bigger picture that you might need to be looking at to make sure that, you know, you're placing your trust, you're placing your ambition in the right hands. So maybe the people that are involved, or making sure that you are making sure that there isn't fine print that you're not seeing or missing something in the illusion of, you know, what you want, right? It's kind of like when somebody schmoozes you or tries to, put on a facade or try to, kind of lure you in towards something, but not show you the kind of grime under the surface. So making sure that you really look out for that grime under the surface, make sure that people haven't just put a facade up. And it doesn't have to be a person, it could be a contract, it could be an apartment you're looking for, it could be whatever it is. It feels like it's not necessarily that it's too good to be true, but there's something under the surface that needs to be revealed before you make any really big decisions towards something. So that's just something to consider as you move into your month. But it doesn't mean that it's outside of your reach. It definitely feels like it's in your reach. It's just making sure that you're putting you might find that after you lift these illusions that there is no grime, that it actually is like as good as it is to be true. But I think that it's something to consider moving into your month. So let's go ahead and see what you got going on for your blessing card. So this is just a card to showcase either a blessing from a spirit or from a guide of yours, but you can also look at it as an energy that just in general is most in your favor this month. So we're going to see what that is for you, group 1. Ooh, you have strength. We've got more lion energy. Wow, so you guys really got like this little lion cub hanging out in their lap. I find this really interesting because they're kind of, we've got like this ring happening up here with the moon, but then this time it's more sunny and more sunshined, and it's someone holding kind of the cub, holding your dreams, your ambition in their lap. And so it really makes me think that, like I said, I don't feel like for all of you that this is necessarily someone you can't put your trust into, or that it is, something of a bad illusion, but just in general, maybe they're withholding something, maybe they don't want to share all of the details, and they may have really good reasons for doing so, but there's something showing up there. Yes, the word is strength, but I feel like it is related to what we already talked about with that cub being in their lap. There's just something about that where you feel really comfortable, like you can lay in their lap and everything's good, but I feel like they still have a bit of a facade, right? It's like when you're trying to look at something closely, it's hard to look at something closely when the sun is right behind them. So it feels like they are obscuring something for good reasons or for nefarious ones. It's kind of dependent on what is revealed, but because it is such a sunny energy behind them, it doesn't seem so bad, So there is also just the word strength as well. So maybe you guys are literally working on physical strength or working on your own physical strength in some way. Or it can also be that just in general, the strength and willpower that you have to get things done, the ambition that you have is going to be really in your favor this month. It's something that you can really use to your advantage to get the things that you want and you need. So we already kind of talked a lot about that, so I probably won't go too deep in it, but I did find the imagery really interesting with this. So let's go ahead and pull you, as we've been talking about a lot of relationships within this, let's pull 1 or 2 relationship cards here to just see in general how relationships are going for you for this month, like the biggest energies that are going to be present within any relationship in your life, or just on an overarching sort of energies sort of slate, if that makes sense. Basically, we're just looking into the collective energy to see what's coming forward, but you can look into a specific person if you have one in mind. So let's see, group 1, what energies are coming up most in relationships this month? So you have patience, as well as, that's really interesting, because right after I picked up, you had generosity, but as right underneath generosity, I almost was like, that's not the right card. And I pulled the one right after it because it kind of felt like it was sticking to my hand. And then you got prudence, which says, don't be lured by the siren's song. So it could be something about generosity, someone being generous, giving you like a head start on something or wanting to do something. But again, in that fine print, I feel like there's someone who has, an ulterior motive that you're not aware of. So that's something I think that is definitely come up, especially with generosity, saying what good is treasure if you keep it for yourself, and it kind of feels like they actually are keeping the treasure to themselves. So I think that's really interesting how that showed up here with don't be lured by the siren's song right next to generosity. And then you also had patience here. The tide will come when it's ready. This feels separate from everything else we've talked about here. Kind of feels like there is maybe someone who you're just having to be quite patient with. Maybe you're not able to see them as much. Maybe there's long distance happening. There could be a multitude of reasons why you need to be patient, but having that strength on your side, having that feeling of patience, maybe patience towards your goals as well that might be related to a relationship, are definitely showing up here as energies for you this month. So we're going to go ahead and kind of pivot away from everything we've talked about here mostly, although I'm sure they all connect, it always does, but we're going to look into your Pisces season messages. So happy birthday to any Pisces out there, but Pisces season is for everyone, and it's something that we can tap into specifically for intuition, creativity, feeling just very inspired and having this like deep inspiration well. So what I want to do this time is I pulled out my art magic cards, and I use these specifically for actual like art magic and like witchcraft and stuff, but you don't have to use or even work with magic in any way for these to be useful. We can just look at them from a more creative standpoint or an oracle standpoint and see how you might be getting a little bit creative and inspired in the month of March, specifically for Pisces season. So let's see for you, group 1. There we go. We've got 2 right here. I like to look at the backs of the cards as well. You've got like this very green and fiery energy showing up. So more of that fiery energy for sure. This may even relate to the same ones we had before. We have Magnify Your Charm. Interesting. Definitely has more of a Leo energy to it. And then you have Spy Sacred Shapes. I don't think I've really even had this card come out, but maybe one time for me. So I definitely want to read on this one a little bit. It says here, sacred geometry flickers beneath the appealing proportions of nature like a secret code. The sacred shapes can be discovered in the spiraling structure of a seashell, honeycomb, snowflake, or flower. Study these sublime shapes, apply their harmonious magic, and watch the creations blossom with otherworldly beauty that is both primordial and new. Interesting. So it's kind of the connection between different repeating patterns and shapes in our lives, like, you know, like they said with a seashell and the spirals that you'll see in a honeycomb and other things like that. But also just in general, like, you know, the fractals in our hands looking kind of like a lightning strike, or looking like, you know, the hands and branches of a tree. And so there's some sort of deeper connection that maybe you're building there when it comes to creativity. There may be things that are happening like from like a neuroplasticity standpoint when it comes to like our brain. I'm just thinking of like fractals right now, which is making me think of like neurons. And so maybe there's something happening when it comes to your creativity this month where you're really wanting to tap into things in your life that you haven't like bridged together. Like it feels like you're trying to branch 2 things together that haven't been branched yet together before. That's a way that you can maybe get a little bit more creative. Maybe some creative problem solving when it comes to breaking these illusions down, or seeing where those 2 branches have gotten lost and why there's an illusion there. And maybe it's because of someone's charm, as you do have the Magnify Your Charm. But it could also be, like I said, it felt connected to these 2. So it feels like someone, again, is like hiding behind a mask, magnifying their charm, charming you in some way, being generous and charming you in some way, luring you in. And so there could be also that you need to use these patterns that you maybe haven't decoded yet, because you haven't seen behind the mask. So those are some ways to look at the way that we were looking at this, but I'll also read this one as well in case you want to genuinely use this for art magic. It says, Magnify Your Charm. It says, don't just dream it, Art Witch, be it. Amplify your charm and dazzle yourself with glamour magic. Don a bewitched bauble, craft your own charm, or play dress up to boast your magical magneticism. Let your charm coax out the captivating magic that radiates from within you. It's a really nice card as well. So like I said, you can take this from a very practical standpoint, but I do think that there is just like a missing link here that just is showing up in all of your cards. They just keep bringing this same theme of an illusion and someone donning some sort of mask to lure you in for something that maybe is going to lead you towards something that you really want, but isn't necessarily the way in which you'd probably want to go about it, because there's probably a bit of a amendment at the bottom or something that seems generous but actually might backfire a little bit in the end. So something showing up there with that when it comes to creative problem solving and trying to bridge 2 things together to bridge those or find those illusions. But let's go ahead and pull you some charms to finish off your reading and see if there's anything we're missing there. So we'll pull some for you here as well, group 1. Okay, all falling in the center in different ways, almost in this little triangle shape. It's really interesting how like perfectly balanced it showed up right around this strength card. So you have the button charm. This one is specifically like a button that fell off a pair of my pants when I was like a kid. And when I think of it, it makes me think of something that you've outgrown, because I had outgrown these pants. I was, growing up, getting, was changing. And so this tells me that there's something that you've outgrown, you've like popped a button on it. You've outgrown it. And so you've outgrown maybe their charms. You've outgrown their ability to charm you over with something, especially since you have the next to like spy, you have the people around a table charm. I know I know it's supposed to, probably to most people, you're going to see it as like a missing puzzle piece or something, but whenever I've looked at this charm, it just always looks like a bunch of people at a dinner table. I don't know if you guys see it, but it makes me think again, like maybe there's something happening behind the scenes in certain conversations that you're not a part of. You're not having a seat at the table, right? You're not in the room that it happens, that you know, there's something that you need to like kind of not spy necessarily, but maybe there's something that you need to kind of put your foot in the door and listen in on, because you're missing a bit of that information, those illusions. And then you also got the branching out charm. I see this either as like a little petal where it kind of branches out, or I also see it as a self care charm, but specifically with everything we've talked about with that fractal feeling, I feel like, again, it just feels like, again, something you're branching out into. You're having to kind of get your hands into something that you've been just sitting on the lap for, but now you're more actively playing a role, hopefully at this table, or you're outgrowing this innocence to just be the tiger and rather be the lion, or rather be the cub and rather be the lion. So there's a maturity that's happening here, like you're maturing a lot over this month, and you're maturing in how you see other people, how other people see you, and how other people respect and understand you as well, to not take advantage of you in these generous ways, in air quotes. So those are all of the charms and cards that I have for you for the month of March and for Pisces season. I hope that this has been useful and helpful to you in some way. And if it has, definitely be sure to give this video a like and let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear if you know where this illusion already is, or you know where it's coming from. Also, if you're interested in these pick a card readings, I put out new readings every single Monday for love, career, for creativity and the like. And I also put out videos on charm casting, on stamp art magic, as well as many other art magic videos. So if that interests you, definitely feel free to subscribe or check those out as well. And if you're interested in relationship readings, I have just finished those up for the month of February, although there is still a little bit of time left if you want to get one. Otherwise, I also have custom stamps open for you, so if you guys haven't seen my magical stamp video, definitely feel free to check that one out, because I make a lot of different kinds of cool rubber stamps, and I'd love to design one for you all. So and I just kind of want to put that out there, that that's something that I do. So feel free to check those out if that's something you'd like for your business, or if you'd like it for your own art magic. I'd love to create. So feel free to check that all out down below. But I'm going to go ahead and close off your reading here today. Thank you so much for being here with me, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. Hello Group 2, if you decide to choose the darker version of the Snowflake Obsidian here, then this is the pile for you, as we are going to be exploring your month of March as well as Pisces season, so happy birthday to any Pisces out there. And we're also going to be looking into any blessing cards coming forward and relationship messages, so we have a lot that we're going to hit, but we're going to kind of hit it quite quick, so I hope you do enjoy as we move through the reading. I felt like reading one had so many connections where it all just kept going to the same place. So I'm curious if that'll happen for you all today as well. But we're going to be doing this with the charms as well as several different oracle decks today, and the main tarot deck being the Line Strider Tarot, which I haven't used the Line Strider Tarot since I think this time last year, so I'm kind of reacquainting myself to this deck, and so we're going to be playing around with the imagery and seeing what comes forward. But as always, everything that I use here today is going to be listed in the description down below, so you can see it and see it listed there. But feel free to get yourself cozy, get yourself settled, feel free to call in your own guides, connect with the charms, with the decks here, and you're putting your own energy into the reading. And as always, feel free to use your own intuition. If you see something that I didn't see, and you know that it just is totally pulling to your intuition, and you're like, yes, that's actually what this means, that's what that's coming from, feel free, as always, to co-create this reading with me and see what comes forward. But we're going to get started first with looking into 3 different cards for the main energies coming forward for you most for the month of March, so the big overarching themes. So let's see what those are for you, Group 2. So what overarching themes are coming forward most? What energies are coming forward most for the month of March for Group 2? Okay, I had a feeling this Judgment card was going to come out. Every time I shuffled the deck to just get the reading ready to go and like set up for you guys today, this card kept popping out. So I had a feeling it was going to show its face, which I think is kind of funny with the mask here. Show its face here for Judgment. You also have the Fool and the Ten of Pentacles surrounding it. So there we are, Ten of Pentacles and the Fool. Interesting, because the Fool is such a like just starting out, just super ambitious. Like they're like the kid who's like running in front of everyone else, wanting to get something started. They're just eager, excited, ready to go, like hopping on their feet. They cannot sit still. And then you have the Ten of Pentacles, which showcases someone who is very settled. They're very comfortable where they're at. They're very not only comfortable like physically, as you can see here, like they're just like sitting comfortably, but also they have, you know, these dogs, they've built a life here, they have a whole, you know, possible family or an entire you know, like household behind them. They have a financial comfortability that's showing up here. And so the fact that you have all of these sort of connecting, and all of the figures here are looking to the past, or the energy of the past, tells me that there's something, especially with it crossing over Judgment, something that you are putting and leaving in the past. And what it feels like is comfortability. There's something that you've gotten very comfortable with that you're going to have to really face and leave in the past. And when I say face, I really do mean like taking off a mask or taking off this comfortable mask that you've been living behind, and take a few more risks, get a little bit more eager, having to kind of bring in a little bit of a new energy, because Judgment usually speaks to like a calling from within to change something, to do something in a different way. It usually represents like, you know, when you look back on your life, you can see these chapters, but you didn't see them when you're in it. Like you can't tell that you're in a chapter in your life. If you were writing a book about your life, right? Someone was writing this huge chapter about college or about a marriage or whatever. And sometimes they're easy to say, like I said, with, you know, these big milestones in our lives, but yours feels like it's not something you're going to be able to easily discern right now, but you're turning the page on something. You're turning the page to a new chapter, and you're not like necessarily aware of it, but it does mean that it's going to require you to kind of get out of your comfort zone a little bit, or to leave a bit of comfort behind in order to take a few more risks, in order to take flight on something that is going to benefit you in the end. Because Judgment is usually here to kind of pivot us towards turning left versus turning right on something that we do every day, right? You go to a stoplight and you turn right every day, turning right, and you're turning left, you're shifting, you're going a different direction. But it's such a mundane thing that I think is going to make this shift. I don't think you're going to realize it in the month of March, right? Which is kind of annoying when you're listening to this now, probably, because you're like, well, I'm not going to know what it is, so how is it helpful to know this? But I feel like by the time you hit April, June, August, right, like you get farther down the year, you're going to look back and be like, oh, so that's what happened in March. That's what changed the trajectory. And so I feel like you're going to have some sort of shift or change that's going to get you sort of more eager, going to be putting you in like a new flight path that is going to be changing things a little bit, and pivoting you towards a new chapter. Something that doesn't seem as obvious now, and maybe it will be really obvious. I'm not saying it won't be for some of you, but I just really feel these big changes coming in for you when it comes to a new life phase that you're moving into. So let's go ahead and see what blessings you have coming in, because that feels like a very straightforward energy or message. So I really want to see what blessings you have coming in. So you can see this either as a blessing from spirit or a guide of yours, but you can also see it as an energy that's just going to be most in your favor this month. So let's see what that is for you, group 2, for the month of March, an energy most in your favor. Ooh, willpower. Interesting how it has like this connection here of like really pivoting or changing, turning the tides. Literally, as you can see, this person is moving the tides around the earth when it comes to like the moon circling the earth. So it really feels like there's this willpower here for you to turn the tides on something, to change trajectory, to change something. It might even be something that you have to have a little bit of willpower to do, right? Like I said, I feel like it's going to be really subtle or mundane that you probably wouldn't notice it, but for some of you, I feel like it's going to be something that you had to put a lot of willpower, effort, and time into to make this change happen, to make this to make yourself even turn the page. For some of you, maybe it's been quite a struggle to get from this chapter to the next. And so I feel like for those of you who are feeling that, I feel like willpower is really in your favor for that when it comes to turning the tides. But also, willpower kind of feels like, to me, like this energy sort of outside of everything we've talked about here, where some of you are also just using willpower in order to get some things you need done in your life for March. So outside of everything we've talked about here, you just might be feeling really productive, wanting to get things going, wanting to go and actually drive towards your goals, having the ambition or the want to like get something going, right? Because sometimes we know there's this task list that we have. We know there's these things we need to get done. We know that we have all of this, but do we have the willpower or the energy or the want to get it done? Not always. And so for some of you, I feel like you're going to have this energy coming into your favor this month, meaning that you're going to feel more of that ambition, or you're going to feel a little bit more motivated to will it into existence, to will it to happen in your life. So I definitely feel the willpower energy coming forward for some of you in multiple ways. So let's go ahead and pivot towards a different kind of part of the reading, where we're going to be looking into the relationships in your life, and we're going to be seeing the collective message coming forward for that. So if we're looking for the biggest energies coming forward, this is the biggest energies coming forward specifically in relationships. If you have a specific relationship, no matter if it's platonic, romantic, familial, spiritual, with yourself or otherwise, then you can go ahead and, send that into the cards. But we are going to be looking mostly just collectively to see what's coming forward for you, for the main energies coming forward most in relationships this month. I kind of just feel like we're just going to pull one. I kind of had a feeling to pull two in the last group, but this one I feel like this is all we need. So you have rescue, help others in need, or ask for assistance when you need it. And you have like a little life preserver over here. So I feel like this is telling us a pretty clear message, right? Of maybe there's someone in your life that you really just need to not necessarily rescue in kind of an infantilizing way, but possibly in a way that just really maybe someone just needs a little bit of comfort, a little bit of help, a little bit of financial help, resource that you have that you can reach out with, support groups, or maybe it's just a nice hug, a smile, a call that you haven't maybe called someone in a while and just wanted to check up on them. But there could be something where somebody just needs a little bit of help, needs a little bit of a pickup. And if that's you, it also might be that you need someone to reach out, or you need, maybe you'll have more of that willpower to reach out for those whom which you may need. So, or the assistance that you may need. So that is definitely coming forward for relationships for you guys. It's pretty set in that it's just this one card. So I feel like it's just really wanting to focus on this and make sure that it is heard. But we're going to move to a very different part of the reading, where we're going to be now looking into two cards specifically for Pisces season. So even if you're not a Pisces, this is still going to apply, as Pisces season is sort of an overarching energy that we get, where it's a very intuitive season. It's a very inspiring season, as you can tell already from the inspiration that you have coming forward, the springboard willpower feeling that you have coming forward from everything showing up here already. But it also is a very creative season, and Pisces season is a great time to get creative, to change things, to make and mold things as we are coming out of the winter. We're starting to move towards spring. This is the perfect time to do so. So we're going to be looking into the two different cards from the Art Magick oracle that I have here. So even if you're not into witchcraft or magic or art at all, this is still going to apply in a more oracle sense. But if you are into art magic, feel free to take these very literally as well. So let's see. Group. Kind of feeling this one. Group 2. Let's pull one more. Okay. So you've got a blue and a purple here. These little crystals, a bit of a moon, lots of splatters. And it says here, ancestral connection. I'll go ahead and read the whole thing in case you want to do more of the art magic. But you can also just pick out specific words that really call to you when it comes to this. You are held by an ancient net of ancestral aid. Interesting with the rescue feeling that we had earlier. Exploring ancestral connections offers a bounty of understanding personal power, healing, restoration, And restoration. Honor connections with elders of family, lineage, vocation, teachers, mentors, spiritual tradition, and ancestors of place. Meditate on ways you can be an excellent ancestor and bestow blessings on future generations. So this could be related to an ancestral line of something that is changing here as well. When it came to that Ten of Pentacles, that maybe is where that comfort is coming from as well. And maybe you are learning new things about your ancestral lineage, or learning about how you can be like they said at the end, be a better ancestor for someone in the future, right? For future generations. So there could be something where you're looking again to the past, but by doing so, you're also helping future generations to be able to heal, grow, or move through something. So you do have that coming forward. This can also be, vocation and, honoring ancestors in some way as well, by honoring their memory, honoring those loved ones who have passed in our lives. Maybe that's through physical things that you can do. Maybe it's, reaching out to them spiritually, or just enjoying the memories that you have of them. But that is definitely coming forward for Pisces season, that there might be a lot of remembrance as well as a digging into that ancestral line, both for future and past generations. And you also have play, and it says here, play is powerful. Turn loose on your kaleidoscopic spirit with fun and make-believe. Rambunctious play is the juicy elixir that rehydrates a parched heart and teases out your genius. Your unbothered joy bursts into being by consulting the evergreen kid within and granting your own wild wishes. So this totally checks out, especially following. It's interesting how it fell next to the respective energies of the Fool and the Ten of Pentacles, because the Ten of Pentacles, like I said, is very comfortable. As you can see, these people are depicted in this card as being more of a elder, or someone who has more experience and more wisdom in some way. And so that it definitely checks out with how it's connecting here. And it's interesting how you're almost trying to connect these two things together and forge them together in some way with willpower. But then here at the Fool, it's all about innocence. It's all about, like I said, it's like that little kid who's jumping on their feet. They cannot wait to go get started on something, or they're just like, can't wait to go to the playground, or they just have just all this anticipation, this ball of energy going on in them. And it's all to play. It's to play. And so the fact that you have these kind of connecting is that you're playing more with this ancestral side, playing more, maybe making it more lighthearted, or using it, like I said, for future generations, as we were talking about earlier, so that they can play, or so that you can bring more play, more lightheartedness, or to bring a different version of yourself forward that is more playful for a future generation. Maybe it's for your kids, maybe it's grandkids, maybe it's those that you look after, maybe it's someone who's just less experienced than you that looks up to you right now, who doesn't necessarily have to be a child. But play is definitely coming forward as well. So let's go ahead and pull you some charms to finish off your reading and see if there's any extra messages coming forward. And let's see what you get here, group 2. Okay. I did. I was like, I thought I dropped one at some point. I'm going to drop this one down as well and see where it shows up. And I'll zoom you in so we can have a little look. So I was talking about future generations, right, words. I was talking about future generations, and you have here, play is powerful, and it's falling on the foot charm. I know this does not look like a foot on camera, but it looks like, like one of those like wooden shoes or something. That's what it feels like, is like a foot. So anyway, the point is that it talks about like foundations, right? Our feet are something that holds us up and is a foundation to be built upon, and play is a great place for you to build a foundation for those people that I talked about earlier, for your children, for your children's children, for grandchildren, for just the generation to come after you, right? Whatever it may be, and in whatever capacity it may be, those that you feel are inexperienced, or you are a mentor towards them in some way, play is going to really take center stage in how you build that foundation. And then also that it is maybe a missing piece that you haven't been taking advantage of as much, and March and Pisces season is a really good time to be taking advantage of it, as you do have the missing puzzle piece here. You also have the little fluffy charm. I always think of this as something that feels really fluffy, and you have it showing up between the Ten of Pentacles and the Judgment card. And so that's just reminding me again that it feels like this turn of a chapter, this change. This even could be just like, I keep talking about it as like a turn in a chapter or a turn in a book, but it also could be that like it's almost like bestowing knowledge upon a future generation of some sort, or a future someone who looks up to you, and maybe you're wanting to do it in a very fluffy, more comforting way, trying to bring comfort to a generation who may be feeling a little bit out of sorts right now, especially since the reason why you're using willpower is from a very sovereign place, and from a place that is wielding the experience that you hold, as you do have the key showing up in the center here, specifically the key with the crown atop it, which tells me that you have a lot of experience, or you are someone who people look up to in some way. You're a leader in some way, and so this leadership is coming forward as well. So this has kind of two different ways to look at this. Maybe it's also both, right? That it could be a lot about the generational side that I was talking about, of you kind of bringing new information from a playful and comforting standpoint to bring more comfort to a future generation of yours, or if it's not a generation, or at least someone who feels they look up to you in some way. But I also feel like it is a personal shift and change that's happening in your life as well, on a very personal level, where you're changing or shifting into a new chapter. So it can go both ways, or it might be both ways in general, but those are all of the charms and cards that I have here for you for the month of March, as well as Pisces season. I really hope that this has been useful to you, and if it has, please let me know in the comments down below what you saw or what you were feeling. I'm always curious to hear, and definitely be sure to give this video a like as well if you enjoyed it. It really helps the algorithm and helps to keep this channel running. And if you are interested in the pick a card readings that I do, like this one, as well as art magic and charm casting and things like it, then definitely feel free to subscribe, as I put out new readings every single Monday that I think you'd really enjoy. And if you're interested in the different ways in which you can support this space in other ways, I have snail mail readings open where you can get a reading through the mail. And I also like to do, I've been opening up custom stamp orders as well. So if you're interested in getting your own custom stamp for your business, or for your art magic, or for anything else you'd like, I have an entire video showcasing how I use my magical stamps, and how you can also use stamps for non-magical things. So feel free to check that out if you're interested, as it's a new offering of mine, and I'd love for more people to check it out. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and close off this reading. But thank you so much for being here with me today, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. Hello Group 3, if you've decided to choose what I believe is a kind of spotted Jasper, then you are in the right pile here for pile number 3. We are going to be diving into the biggest energies for relationships and for the general sense of March, as well as looking into what you have going on for Pisces season. So happy birthday to anyone who is a Pisces out there, but also if you're not a Pisces, this is still going to apply to you, so do stay tuned for that as well. But we're going to be diving into it with the charms, as well as several different oracle decks here, and the main deck being the tarot deck of the Line Strider Tarot, which I haven't pulled out since I believe this time last year, so I'm really having a lot of fun diving deep into the imagery, seeing what I'm seeing, and I hope you guys enjoy it as well if you haven't seen it on the channel before. But as always, I'll have all of this listed in the description down below, as well as many other things to check out, such as offerings, socials, and all of that. But we're going to get started here, so feel free to get yourself cozy, settled, send your own energy into the cards here, call in your guides, and feel free to use your own intuition as we move through this as well, and see what you see in the cards, because I like to co-create this reading with you guys, and it's always interesting to see what you guys say in the comments about what you noticed that I didn't, or how you maybe saw something in a different way. It helps me to be a better reader, and it's also really helpful to just hear your guys' thoughts, and I'm always curious. So feel free to let me know down below as we move through this, but let's go ahead and pull you some cards to look into the 3 main energies, or 4 or 5, we'll see, that are coming forward for the month of March. So overarching themes and energies coming forward for the month of March for Group 3. Group 3 for the month of March. Definitely feel free to connect with the deck It feels like it's trying to make up its mind. Like it can't decide. Okay, so we have the Nine of Cups, the Wheel of Fortune. We're going to pull one more at least. And the Knight of Swords. So I'm getting a very impatient energy already from the Wheel of Fortune and the Knight of Swords coming up together. And I'll go ahead and hold these all up individually so you can really look at each of them. But the Knight of Swords is, out of all of the knights, because there's, a knight for each of the suits in the deck, and the sword specifically is very fast-paced. They don't think things through. They're constantly moving. They're running, they're sprinting, they're trying to get things done, they're over here, they're doing that, and they're not always thinking things through. And a lot of the time they charge in without a plan. And the Wheel of Fortune usually talks about us having, it can talk about a couple of different things, but I'm particularly thinking of time specifically with these two. So when I'm looking at the Wheel of Fortune, it talks about a lot of the time, something shifting and changing, moving forward. And especially in March, we're moving from at least here it doesn't matter where you are, regardless, you're moving from one season to the next. At least here in the Northern Hemisphere, we're moving from winter into spring. And so the fact that you have these coming up together tells me that it almost is like you're trying to rush things. You're trying to rush things and make them happen quick, and make them happen fast and sprint through something. And in doing so, sometimes, you don't think it through, and you can get ahead of yourself. And so it feels like you're kind of getting ahead of yourself, tripping on yourself a little bit this month, and that taking a bit of a break, slowing things down a little bit, or thinking things through a little bit before you do something, I think is going to be really important when it comes to your actions and your words this month, especially since the swords can talk about not only actions, but specifically words and the way that we communicate. So before you sign a contract, before you say that thing that you maybe are going to regret, before you rush off into something or write something really quickly down that you might just find isn't maybe the best thing to say or respond, make sure that you really think through your responses and take your time and slow it down a little bit, because it really feels like you're trying to rush through something. And whether that's, again, with words or writing, it doesn't have to be. It could be something just in general in your life that you're already very aware that you're wanting to rush, finish, and complete. You'd probably benefit from slowing down a little bit, or at least considering your words or considering your actions with a little bit more than you might be already. Then you also have, I think I actually said the Ace of Cups when I pulled this out. I swear I've been looking at this as the Ace of Cups this entire time, and I just realized it was the Nine of Cups. So, sorry if I did say the Ace, but regardless, you have the Nine of Cups coming forward, which the Nine of Cups is a wish-making card, specifically a card to kind of grant a wish. So you can either feel free to wish on this card right now if you'd like to, but in general, if you've made a wish recently on a birthday cake, on a star, on 1111 on your phone, or whatever it might be, if you've been wishing for something or really trying to actively make something manifest into life, into reality, this might be the month that it shows up. And it may be the thing that you're trying to rush, who knows? But the Nine of Cups, words today. The Nine of Cups can talk about, and that's funny too, because I'm like tripping over my words and rushing them. Maybe I need to slow down, y'all. Sometimes the energy of the readings, I feel like kind of like I take them on. So I'm going to slow down. But the Nine of Cups can talk about feeling fulfilled. It really talks about personal fulfillment. And in this case, they've kind of gotten out of this cage, right? And they not only have gotten out of this cage, but it also seems they have gotten what was ever inside the cage, seeing as they have these little feathers. And so when I'm looking at the Nine of Cups, it tells me that you are really trying to work towards something that's going to feel successful and make you feel very fulfilled from an emotional standpoint. And so whatever it is that you are trying to rush and move forward, the reason why the need or want to rush it is to get this fulfillment, to get whatever is in that cage that is, you're being held back from, whatever the reward is that you'll get on the other side of it. And so whatever this reward is going to be one that is very motivating and is something that is worth sprinting for, whether that's an actual physical reward or if it's something that is an encouraging speech or an encouraging message from someone that you were hoping that someone would notice you or see you for something, or value the effort that you're putting in, wherever it is coming from and whatever it is that you'll receive. And even if it's just a break because you finished a deadline or something, that seems to be what is motivating you to rush or move things forward. So let's go ahead and see what you have coming in for blessing cards as we move into this month. This could be a blessing from spirit or from a guide of yours, but you can also see it as a energy that's just most in your favor this month, something that's just going to be most in your favor. So let's see what that is for you. Group 3. Compassion. And I was also feeling one that was like sticking to my finger, and it was psychic abilities. So we're going to pull 2. I usually only pull 1, but we're going to just play around with both today. So you got compassion as well as psychic abilities. So if you guys haven't seen I have several different videos on this channel, but if you haven't seen the most recent one that I did back in October on your psychic abilities and other magical abilities that you may possess, then feel free to check that video out up here. But specifically for you guys, I wanted to see how these two are possibly linked, which immediately with compassion and psychic abilities, a lot of the time you would think of empathy or being an empath. But I also see it as just being able to not only feel or understand someone's pain or understand their feelings, but also kind of understanding more of your own. I kind of get this feeling that you're like opening yourself up to your own like self-compassion and wanting to put yourself first, because you do have like this energy of not wanting to be the prey but be the predator in some way. I know that seems really harsh, but that's the feeling that I'm getting here with the cage and the bird and the cat here. And it kind of feels like you're wanting to kind of put yourself first in some way, and maybe that's why you're rushing things forward. Maybe it's because the thing that you've been working on, maybe you haven't been feeling valued, or you just want to get it done so you can get to the other side of it, because what you value is on the other side, and what you're valuing is related to wanting to kind of put yourself first in some way. That's the feeling that I'm getting here. Otherwise, in general, like if we take everything else away from here, just in general, compassion, being more compassionate, empathetic, and understanding, and especially when it comes to wanting to not rush your words or thinking things through first, thinking from a place of compassion before rushing into things, I think is going to be really important when it comes to conversations you're having within relationships this month. But also psychic abilities. There could just be that you're being more aware of your intuition this month, or into an ability that maybe is being revealed this month. So feel free to keep an eye out for that. But let's go ahead and pull you 2 cards, or maybe just 1 card, we'll see, for relationships this month. You're always welcome to think of a specific relationship if you want. It doesn't have to be romantic into the deck, but we're going to be looking into more of those overarching themes specific to relationships. So let's see, group 3, relationships. So you have dance. Take inspiration from the moonlight dancing on the surface of the sea. Dance is a really interesting one because it reminds me of a card from a separate deck. I'm not going to pull it out, even though I feel like I should, but some of you might recognize it from the Threadbound Oracle. But regardless, whenever you think of a dance, it represents, especially in relationships, it's this give and take, this back and forth of like a power dynamic, but also of like an understanding and this feeling of deeper connection, right? Whenever we're dancing with someone, it's a very intimate experience, and it's a very, you have to be in rhythm and in harmony with another person to be able to properly dance with another person. So there is this feeling of maybe you guys getting on the same level with someone who maybe you've been off step with. That's the feeling that I get here. Or that you're getting back into step with someone, right? You're getting back into flow and into harmony with someone. Maybe it's through these compassionate conversations that maybe you were rushing before, or weren't able to effectively use your words or communicate something from a compassionate standpoint. But regardless, there is something showing up here with dance. And specifically when I think of the moon card, it represents illusions or something that isn't clear. And so if we're looking at this, it's telling me that not only is effective and clear communication important from a compassionate standpoint this month, but also within your relationships too, to maybe literally dance with someone, but also listening to nonverbal communication can be really important as well when moving through and deciphering things and finding clarity within a relationship. this month as well. So that's coming in here with dance. So we're going to move to Pisces season now. We're going to pull 2 cards from the Art Magic Oracle here, because Pisces season is a season that is very inspiring. It's very creative. It is a season that can really get our creative juices flowing. And so I wanted to look into creativity for you guys, and I might even do a much bigger video this month on creativity, but you can look at this from a art magic standpoint if you guys practice art magic or are interested in magic and witchcraft. But otherwise, you can also just look at this from a oracle standpoint as well. So let's see how you maybe have inspiration flowing into your life for the month of March through the lens of Pisces season. So, group 3. What inspiration is coming forward for you? So you have celebrate spills as well as inspired action. This is really interesting because I always like to do a test reading. I don't like do like a full reading, but I just sort of throw a couple cards out, see what it looks like to make sure that the cards are working together really well before I start the reading. And both of these cards came out together. So it's really interesting that you got them here for you guys. That also kind of happened in pile 2. So these cards are really working together for sure. But you have celebrate spills, and I'm going to read this, but of course you can see this from more of an oracle standpoint and just see what kind of comes forward for you. But otherwise, you can also see this from a very literal art magic standpoint as well, however you wish to take it. But it says celebrate spills here from the water element. And says the path of the creative mage is speckled with splotches and spills. What appears to be a misstep or a mess may in fact be a happy accident. These missteps often occur at the edge of genius. Drips and do-overs are the badges of creative bravery. Transform mistakes into masterpieces, celebrate spills, and embrace spontaneity. Really interesting, especially with how kind of splotchy this deck is, and the fact that I felt like you are rushing something or trying to get something to happen very quickly or move it forward, and that maybe that seems like a mistake when I'm reading it here. Like, it seems like something that could get you into trouble or cause a little bit of a risk or change things up or, spill something in the rushed effect of everything, right? Imagine if you're trying to create an art piece, right, and you're rushing it. It's very easy for you to accidentally spill something because you're not being as careful. But in that spill, there might be something that is maybe needed to be seen. Maybe something is going to be revealed that needed to be seen and wouldn't have been seen if that risk wasn't taken or if that misstep wasn't taken. So there could be something showing up here as well for Pisces season that is almost kind of egging you on to make the spill, to make the mistake, to say the thing that needs to be said, and that, yes, it's a little bit risky, but it might actually end up being one of those happy accidents. So interesting that this one's coming forward. You also have over here inspired action. I love the image for this one with the hand and all of the different things surrounding it, as well as the key. I'm starting to lose my voice here, so sorry if I get a little weirdly patchy with this, but it says inspired action. Get in touch with the masterful magician within you to take inspired action. Feel the crackling surge of confidence that comes from skillfully exercising this intensity in practical ways. Your natural talents are attentively at the ready to assist you. Be bold and make a move with passion. So this is all about being bold and just going for it. So both of your cards here are really showcasing to make the inspired action, to just see what happens in the spill, and that sometimes we need to make the spill in order to make changes that are needed, because if we keep on doing the things that seem comfortable, or we keep on tiptoeing around a situation, then it may look perfect from the outside, it may seem fulfilled and seem good, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's healthy, or that it's working well, or that there isn't an underlying problem underneath it, or that perfection isn't holding us back from something else. And so it really feels like you're trying to make an inspired and quick action that maybe is going to be a bit risky, but might be worth it in the end because of the spill that creates something that is needed to be spilled. So let's go ahead and finish off your reading by pulling some charms. So feel free to have a little conversation with them first, and we'll pull some charms for you. So here we go, group 3. Okay, all of them falling towards the center, which I had a feeling would happen. But we'll have a little look here. The first ones you had came out in a little pair here of Haya on compassion, as well as the letter W falling over here on their like hand in the earth. So when I'm looking at this tells me that there might be someone whom which you maybe need to have a compassionate and understanding conversation with, someone who's maybe going to reach out to you with the letter W involved, maybe in their initials, or maybe it's about the thing that you guys need to talk about, but that is coming forward. Also within psychic abilities, you got the black hole charm, which I think is really interesting. This could be related to the specific ability that you are getting more of a connection with. But this one always makes me think of like a black hole. And so maybe it's something that is related to specifically your insight, as we did get like the eye up here, and if you like turn it to the side, it kind of looks, hopefully you can see that, it looks like an eye, but it feels like an eye that is like the unseen eye. So maybe you're really working on your clairvoyance here, or you're being able to see in your dreams or foresee things in that way. It really feels connected to some sort of sight. But you also have the original charm showing up here next to inspired action and the face of the compassion here. And the original charm just always usually talks to making an original idea come forth, or, you know, using your originality to bring something forward. To this inspired action is really coming from you. It definitely is originating from you and from a compassionate place. So even though the inspired action could be really quick and maybe cause harm, maybe it's making sure that your inspired action, though is quick and fast and maybe, you know, causes a bit of a spill, at least that spill is coming from the action that is very much tied to and originates in compassion. So the root of the inspired action needs to come from a compassionate place, and making sure that it's not coming from a place of anger or a place of fear or judgment or shame, and making sure that it's really coming from a place of compassion when you do make this spill, right? I think that it's going to be more successful if it originates and comes from a place of compassion than from another less desirable space. So overall, those are all of your charms and cards here for you, for you group 3. So if you did enjoy this and found it useful for your month of March and Pisces season, then definitely be sure, like I said, to let me know in the comments down below, and give this video a like if you found it useful. And if you're interested in the pick a card readings that I do, like this one, as well as the educational videos that I do on art magic and charm casting and others, then definitely feel free to subscribe, as I put out new readings and videos every single Monday for you to enjoy. And also, if you're interested in learning more about art magic and the art magic that I get up to, not only do I have videos on my grimoire and my stamp collection, but I also am offering custom stamps as well. So if you're interested in getting your own custom magical stamps to use in your art magic or to use in your business or others, then definitely feel free to reach out for those, as I haven't talked about it a lot, but I want to be able to carve more stamps for more people. So definitely feel free to check that out if that's something you're interested in. I have an entire video showcasing the custom stamps that I've made for myself, and would love to make more for you all. So feel free to check those out, as well as all the other offerings for snail mail readings, magical spell and ritual papers, as well as many others, so that you can get all of your magical goods here. So I hope you do enjoy and find that you have a hopefully not too quick, fast-paced of a month with how it is showing up here. And I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye.